What are some unwritten rules about sex? I'm not a girl, but I know you have to wash your hands before you finger someone. Aftercare is as important as the sex. Females should pee afterwards, in the toilet, please, unless asked otherwise, to prevent UTIs which are so goddamn painful. Giving birth was easier. Also, sex doesn't have to be spur of the moment or like all smoothly initiated. It can still be just as fun when planned in advance or initiated by saying something stupid like, "Do you want to do the sexies?" Depends on y'all's sense of humor of course, but it should be known it doesn't have to be all sexy, serious and spontaneous all the time. I think that if you orgasm you shouldn't stop until the other person orgasms. Or at least do something else to make them orgasm. Never do it with someone you don't want to be doing it with. The clitoris is not a scratch card to win the lottery. Porn does not equal reality. If your partner says keep doing that, don't stop, or anything indicating the exact thing you're currently doing feels awesome, it does not mean speed up or focus on a different area or change whatever you're currently doing. Every man I've been with seems to think if you keep doing it like this all orgasm means speed up and go harder. Don't put it in the ass unless you're asked to. And if you do, then stay there. Don't try to switch holes. Front to back only. The intensity of emotional connection and sexual pleasure are intertwined. If I feel safe, mentally and physically, I relax so deeply that I just. If your partner says no at any point you stop. Unless you've negotiated a safe word and then the safe word instead. No visible love marks unless your partner is expressly okay with it. Nothing more humiliating than having to go to the office wear IBG a turtleneck in August because your asshole of a boyfriend had to mark his territory like some dog. Consent enthusiasm. If someone has to be talked into something, they don't consent. They may want to consent, wish they could get into what's being asked of them, but they don't and aren't. I know too many women who've been injured, who've bled, because of anal sex they never really wanted to have in the first place, but they wanted to make their partner happy and he wouldn't drop the subject. I know women who've had sex with men just because they were afraid they'd get raped if they didn't. Ignoring the clitoris is the same as ignoring the penis. If you can successfully find the clitoris and know what to do it with, you don't need the biggest dick in the world. Hell, you don't even need a dick at all. However, never forget item 1. Sex is a want, not a need. If you don't get any, you won't die. No one owes you sex. Yes, it is great, but it isn't the only thing in the world and is just one aspect of a successful relationship. Think and consider, if it were to suddenly become unavailable for whatever reason, would you stick around and be with your spouse if it meant you could never have sex again with them? If the answer is no, you would leave like immediately. Then you are putting way too much importance on what is essentially mashing genitals together and not valuing the person themselves. Rethink and prioritize what should be important to you. Consent not just for sex but everything in between with sex. Communication is a key tool that I find is hardly ever used. Wash your hands and Johnson before sex. Get in the damn shower if you can. Women wash your ho-oh-ha and pee after sex always. Women wash your ho-oh-ha. Only the outside labia, never the inside, gentle unscented soap. Don't comment on your partner's perceived body flaws. Don't just throw a towel at us. Help us clean it up, especially if it's all over our back. Cleanliness is key. Also, if you're gonna finger someone, clip your fingernails. And file them, too. Clipped nails still have a sharp edge on them. If your partner is being a dead fish, you're probably raping them. Sex is a mutual activity that requires mutual desire and enthusiastic consent. Don't abuse your reluctant partner's body for an orgasm. Never assume you know the other person's body better. If they tell you to stop doing something, don't be insulted, move on and try something different. Never assume everyone likes to be touched the same way. There's more to life than sex, you don't always have to be having it to be happy. Sex is about both receiving and giving. It feels like I'm always giving. Never receiving. Made me feel unloved and unwanted. Take off your goddamn socks. Foreplay is just as important as the sex, and aftercare is just as important as both sex and foreplay put together. Without aftercare, it can feel empty and make you feel somewhat used. Also, consent to sex doesn't mean consent to every form of sex under the sun. Just because she is okay with you putting it in her vagina doesn't mean she is okay with you putting it in her ass. When receiving oral, you should warn them before you blow a huge load in their mouth. Shower, please. Ladies and gentlemen, ask, don't just do. Turn your phone on silent.